So I recently got this question through, and the reason I've got my phone here is it was sent over Facebook Messenger. So I've just finished mixing a track for a client, sent back the master, really pleased. But what I wanted to answer in this question was his question that he asked me just now after finishing this track. He said, "Dude, I went back to my reference track I sent you for this one and started laughing. I can't believe the clarity you guys get in your mixes. I honestly never realized how much mud mid range there was until now. Pure magic what you guys do. Makes me really want to start learning the art more. I just don't know where to start." So the question being that he doesn't know where to start, wants to learn the art of mixing, mastering. And I said to him, here's a really, really good way of utilizing what I've sent you and what you can hear as being, let's say, superior to your reference mix, utilizing that as a learning curve, as something you can learn from. I said, you've sent me the raw audio files, all the multi-tracks for the mix. I have those. That's what I've used in the mix. You have those as well. Now import those into your session, into a new session, and bring up my mix and my master that I've sent you and reference against them. Now using the exact same files as a learning process, reverse engineer what I've done. Try and get from those raw stems or raw multi-tracks, try and get from those raw multi-tracks to where I took the mix. And you can reverse engineer that by just referencing between them, using it as a reference tool, reference to the mix. Then when you're doing the master, reference to the master. So what you can then achieve from that is basically you're able to use that reference to improve what you're doing. If you like and you feel like that mix is superior, then reference to it and go, right, what's been done with the kick? All right, referencing to it backwards and forwards, right? There's a little bit more low end, there's a bit of compression, there's this, there's that, and you can work it out. Now, the other really good option, what you can do with this sort of process is you can order the mixed stems from me as well. So I'll send back the mixed stems. Now what you're doing is you're not just referencing the mix or referencing the master, you're referencing each individual stem at the stem layer as well. So you can reference, right, I'm going to reference my kick and I'm going to get my kick to sound kind of like what Paul's got it to sound like. And then you can reference the snare, then the hi-hats, and then reference the bass and go through the whole track, referencing against each of those stems and achieve what is a similar mix. But at the whole time, what you're doing is it's massive. You're learning from A to B, you're getting from A to B, and you're learning the whole way through that by referencing to it. And then you're going, right, well, how has he achieved that? How has he got that weight in that low end? Can I achieve that using plugins, or is that something that he's got out of the analog gear? A lot of the time, a lot of what the sound is the sound is part of what you see behind me. But you can use the tools at your disposal to reference against what I've done, and then be able to kind of reference against it and work out what's been done and reverse engineer that. And it's a really, really good way of doing things. It's one thing that I did when I was really young learning to mix, is I used to take the mix stems from the sessions when we worked with other artists and other producers and other engineers. I'd take those mix stems and then I'd sit there working with the stems working with the raw multi-tracks, and I'd be trying to get to that sound, and I'd be working with the same stems or the same multi-tracks, and I'd be trying to get that exact same sound and trying to achieve, and then working out how I got from there to there, and then recreating that and redoing that process when I'm doing other tracks. So it's a highly beneficial way of learning, and it's a way that you can learn in your own time. And it's something that maybe what I'll do is I'll put together some some raw multi-tracks that you can all download, and then some finished mixes that you can all download as well, and then you can use this as a reference thing where you can do that and you can reference against it and all, like, try and achieve what was achieved there. And yeah, it's a really beneficial way of working. It's how I learned many years ago. And look, when it comes to actually learning how to mix, the best way to do it is to just crack on and mix as many tracks of as many genres as you possibly can, and learn as much as you can along the way. And then what it's a case of doing is, whatever you've learned, there's no point getting from A to B and just going, right, I've got there. Like, say for instance, you're using AI, press a button, yep, I've got that sound. You learn nothing to get to that sound. Now, the difference here is you're learning, what processing did I apply? What do I apply? Do I do EQ, then compression? Do I do another EQ? Do I add saturation? Where do I add saturation? Oh, if I add saturation up here, I'm achieving it very much closer to what is achieved here. So it's like, learn that process, learn the chains, and you will get better at mixing. That's a little tip that I applied many years ago. And yeah, it's something I always recommend people do, especially if they're working with me and I send them back the mix stems as well. Like, use them to your advantage, learn from them, and yeah, just reference against them and try and achieve that sound. If you never know, look, you never ever know. You might reference against it and be able to create a better mix out of it. You never know. But yeah, really good way of learning how to mix.